Welcome back, all you freaks, outcasts, and weirdos. Today's video is going to be a lot less all over the place, for once. I decided to go ahead and write down a few of the points that I wanted to sort of get across. I wanted to start with talking about free thinkers and how we're really lacking them in society these days. I personally wish we had a lot more institutions out there helping people become free thinkers at younger ages, because it seems like really early on in life we're all sort of force fed the same knowledge all at once, over and over and over again, and repeated over and over and over again. Just the same info, the same material. But what I want to challenge, right, is for somebody to come up with an ethical, legitimate reason to gatekeep all knowledge from everybody. Because it really seems like that's what governments are trying to do these days. It seems like the pursuit of happiness is all they're willing to help us with. They don't care about, they don't care how smart we are. And they don't care how much money we have. And this kind of follows the pursuit of knowledge and happiness, not wealth. That's personally something I think we need to start indoctrinating into our younger generations, is pursue knowledge and happiness over wealth. Because wealth will come in today's society if you have both happiness and knowledge. Happiness and knowledge kind of go hand in hand, and you can't have both of those without wealth, according to the current gatekeepers of knowledge right now. See, knowledge right now is currently being used as a bargaining chip for a lot of practices, whether it be commercial, pharmaceutical, political. Knowledge is gate kept for a multitude of reasons. And though many could argue that, oh, it's because it's an intellectual property, which I completely understand. I completely understand that. But intellectual property really technically only matters if you can sell it reliably. And once one person knows it, then they can go and sell it too. But with today's society, the way it works, okay, is you have an inventor who creates something new that will potentially help the world, right? They submit the idea. Now, again, on equal terms, it could also hurt the world. Sorry to backtrack, but let's get back on track. Yes, it can both help or hinder the world, okay? And that is left to the government to decide whether it's going to help or hinder, not the populace, not the actual people who plan to use it. Now, patents and intellectual properties, I personally have a problem with. Because what that means is you're allowing the government to go ahead and dictate whether or not you own that knowledge or not. and whether you own that idea. It doesn't matter whether you were the first to come up with it. It's that whoever the first person to submit it gets it. Look at the instance with Alexander Graham Bell, okay? The inventor of the telephone, as many of us were led to believe. But apparently, on that exact same day, somebody else also, completely independently, created a telephone with almost identical design and submitted it the exact same day Alexander Graham Bell did. Now, my question is, who came up with the idea first and who's been working on it longer? I'm sure the information is out there. And, in fact, I did look up the information. I just genuinely forgot it. I should have written it down. I apologize for that. That was my bad. But it still kind of begs the question, because that's not the only case. That's just the most famous one. I'm not going to go super deep into all of the cases, because that would take a while. But you get what I'm talking about, right? The intellectual knowledge, or the intellectual property being marketed as a sellable idea, basically. But the government dictates who owns it, not who came up with it first, but also it doesn't matter who came up with it first. The idea of the whole thing is to make lives better. It's not for wealth. If it was for wealth, then not as much care would have been put into it. Look at fidget toys. They came and they went. They were basically just a cash grab scheme. No different than microtransactions in video games. They are not there to help people. Instead, they are there for wealth. That's it. It's not inherently evil. It's not inherently good. It just is, right? But let's sort of move past this. Now that we're, I guess, kind of on the video game aspect, might as well dive into childhood aspects, right? When you come, when it comes down to institutions are centralized around the government they reside in currently. At least in America, that's how it is. Okay. The government sort of dictates what is taught in school, who won what war, but they leave a lot out of the history books, which I've come to realize has really hindered our progress as a society. I apologize for my speech impediment. But they don't always tell the whole story. Did you know America had white slaves? America actually traded white slaves for black slaves for a while. Because the thing is, we see them depicted as trading firearms, but that didn't come until later. We were already trading white people, white slaves, for black people, or black slaves in Africa. We were going over there and trading because the the slave owners in America knew that, well, African people were a lot more rigid. They were stronger. They were faster. And they could endure a lot more. Whereas the white slaves from America, they were a lot weaker. But they had ideas and they could build things, which is really what the Africans really liked about them, is their ingenuity, their intuitiveness. Okay. Now, obviously, they also were treated like crap, no different than black slaves. All slaves were treated like absolute garbage, and we can all agree that slavery in and of itself is wrong. And, well, I shouldn't have to say this, but you get my point, right? But this is knowledge that's not told to us in these history books. We're only told about the firearm trading. We're not really told about the specifics of the slave trade. Even Native Americans were traded for black slaves. Like, that's some serious stuff. Some of the Native Americans that were brought to encampments when slave first started, we enslaved them too. It's not a matter of white, black, race, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a matter of people do terrible things. It's our job as a populace to stop those people from doing those terrible things. But not enough people are doing that. Not enough people are keeping other people in check. Too many people are complacent. Well, we're kind of taught to do this in school. Shut up, sit down. Don't raise your hand. Don't talk to me until I told you to. We're taught these things in school. Every day. For 12 years. 12 years. And that's if you don't go to college. 12 years you're told to sit down, shut up, and listen. Your ideas don't matter. I'm told to teach this class how the class is supposed to be taught. But what if those teachings are wrong? Do we question that? Why aren't we being taught about Nikola Tesla in schools? Specifically, grade schools. I would imagine children would love to learn about Nikola Tesla. If I'm being completely honest, you show them one of his crazy contraptions and guaranteed all of them will fall for it. They will enjoy the crap out of it. Why aren't we teaching it? Simple. Indoctrination. It's sad. It's very, very sad. And very upsetting. But that's how society works right now. And that's what I'm trying to change, hopefully. Again, everybody who always sets out to do something big, bold, and brave always has doubts that anything is going to come of it. However, that's just the way of the leader. Let's move on a little bit to the illusion of choice. See, in school, I don't know how many of you were told this, but I was told very regularly that I could accomplish anything. I could go out and do anything I wanted. Well, much to my amazement, when I came to realize that not without the say-so of a government official. What happened to lemonade stands? I remember having a lemonade stand when I was younger. It was great. It was great. I made a little bit of money that day, that week. I don't even remember how long it was. I didn't even have actual lemonade. I had Kool-Aid. I had Kool-Aid. I went outside, sat up with a table and a couple chairs. A few of my neighborhood friends came around. It was great. It was great. Nowadays, you don't see any of those. Why not? We're not teaching our kids how to start their own businesses. We're not teaching our children how to move up in life. Are we not teaching our kids to be more productive with their time? Are we teaching them how to get involved with big ideas? Because even their voice matters too. No, we're not. And at least most people aren't. I'm sure there's exceptions to the rule as always. But it really begs the question, why aren't we doing these things? They're just simple, subtle things that we can just... And the kids would love this. You know the children would enjoy learning if this is how they learned. If they learned through doing and failing and doing and failing again. They're going to fail no matter what we do. Why are we trying to hinder their own growth and their own progress? Independent thought nurtures independent growth. When you hinder independent thought, you hinder independent growth. And then everybody becomes the same in the worst way. See, the elites are only focused on happiness. I see a lot of happy, stupid people in the world. And they're happy because they don't know what's been done to them. They're unaware of their own of their own circumstances. They can't fully comprehend how severe their predicament really is. And even if they do, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that think they're smart when they're not, right? That's a very common occurrence these days. No, thinking you're smart when you most certainly are not. See, what I have learned is stupidity. Stupidity is having the ability to learn from one's mistakes and not doing it. Insanity Insanity is doing it on purpose. So stupidity is doing it on accident. Insanity is doing it on purpose and expecting something different. Right? What I meant to say is stupidity is having the knowledge to do correctly, or having the ability to learn but not taking the ability to learn. Insanity is already having learned it and deciding to continue the insane actions. Okay. However, ignorance is the lack of knowledge altogether. Okay? I'm sorry. Yeah, this was just a bit of an interjection. Go ahead and get back to the video. Sorry. And if we live in a world where stupidity and insanity and hypocrisy are in just about every government office, there is a there's a massive quantity of people in power who only want these things for the populace. They want you to be lazy. They want you to be stupid. They want you to give up. Because if you give up, they win. That's how it works. We have changed from racial slavery to cultural slavery. And gatekeeping knowledge is, well, that's what you do when you want to control your people to the fullest extent. You indoctrinate the children to think what you want them to, and then you make it impossible for them to learn outside of your own schooling. That's the whole government interference aspect to all of this. It's upsetting. And again, yeah, you could say, "Oh, well, I'm going to take my kid to a private school." Guess what? Private schools do the same stuff. Only worse, because they're allowed to be biased. They're allowed to have a bias in theirs. So either send your kid to a school where they're being paid to lie to your kid, or at least lie by omission, or you take your kid to a school that you know is completely biased. And every school district is different, sure. But again, all of them are still being controlled to the fullest extent of the government. The government chooses what your kids learn. They can botch those numbers without you being any wiser. If there's a vote against it, okay. Who controls the ballots? Well, they do. This is why This is why centralized voting doesn't work. Because it is centralized. And because the government has such lack of transparency, it's also kind of a given that they're a bit in cahoots with the media as well. The news, even. And the news is always reallocating their resources to the news stories that either matter the absolute least, or it's a story caused to be a distraction to something else. They're always distracting us. It's a massive magic trick using only sleight of hand. It's sleight of hand on the most grandest scale. It's upsetting. And then when the news goes, and the news is deciding what happens, because it too is being controlled by the government, they help defund educational programs like libraries. There has been more library shutdowns in recent years than ever before. And it's only because there has been a massive surge to the internet for information. But even the internet is hiding the crucial facts. Look at my channel, for instance. Odds are, YouTube probably won't recommend my channel to, but maybe 100 people, right? Maybe 200. Depending on how I treat the algorithm. It's all being policed, all ideas. If the government doesn't want your video on the internet, it's going to take it off the internet in their country. How is that free speech? It's kind of not. And that's what's being fought right now in court. But, again, just because it's being fought in court doesn't mean the right choice will be made in court. How can we say a decision was just if not everybody had a say? That's just a little food for thought. That's just a bit of a tangent for you guys to discuss down in the comments. But when you have people policing your ideas and the government looking to control your thoughts and inventors being silenced, really makes you wonder, what pursuit are they trying to help us with? Are they trying to help us with the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of knowledge, or the pursuit of wealth? Only time can really tell. I've been Gambit Scorch, you've been wonderful, and I will see all of you in the next video. I appreciate y'all. Bye-bye.